Hey, Jamsters, I'm back. And hopefully I won't end the broadcast a little too early. Sorry about that. For those of you who tuned in to the last post-game podcast against the Miami Heat, I came on and I gave my 2 cents after attending the game, and then I just ended the broadcast like an idiot. So, Matthew, sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. It actually kind of ended pretty good. And you're like, hey, see you guys later. And then it was just done. So it's good. We went over to the, what's his name? Suns Geek. We went to his podcast and picked it up from there. So it ended fine. It was all right, dude. A little switcheroo.
Yeah, curveball. Champions adjust, right? Unlike the Phoenix Suns, who once again lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the second time in a week that they've done so. The team is 1-9 in their last 10. They've lost 6 in a row. And Matthew, this team has yet to score over 100 points since New Year's. They're averaging like 91.3 points per game since we turned the calendar to 2023. Fantastic.
Yeah, super close to tonight. Super close.
Yeah, just like the last time we played the Cavs. Super close through 3, and then the fourth quarter happened.
I know. I think we're kind of getting used to this. I think you tweeted about how you're just mentally prepared for the loss.
Yeah.
I think I am
Not
too.
Even mad.
I sit there kind of grumpy. I sit there and I'm just like kind of pissed off to do a podcast after another loss. It sucks. But I don't know, man. You just sit there and watch and maybe hope to God they can keep it close. But the way the Suns used to play bad teams where they would keep it close kind of and then just blow them out in the fourth, now that's happening to us on the other side of it. So,
well, I think
hard to take.
I think that, knowing that I didn't do the podcast on Friday, I just slipped in and then turned it off. It's like, my wife was cheating on me with somebody else, and I came in real quick and I just like turned on the lights and then ran away, and you guys got scared off or something. But I haven't done a podcast, in about 4 or 5 days. So I think I was content. I'm okay to talk about the Suns. I got a lot I want to talk about, and maybe that's what you need, Matthew. Maybe you just need a night off, and you'll feel that reinvigoration talking, because every night's going to be a loss. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
Every night.
No, you're totally right. It's going to be a loss, and we just have to take it. I'm okay. I'm fine. Whatever.
Okay, good.
I don't sound okay, so I'm lying to you. I'm not okay.
Okay, well, did the Cowboys lose today too?
They did lose. Dak Prescott got that pick 6 in like he always does. He always wants to make sure he leaves.
Get it out of the way now, man.
Dude, he does it every game. He's going to do it in the playoffs twice. So they lost. It didn't matter anyways. It was one of those games where it didn't matter. So it's all right. We'll see what happens next week.
And the Cardinals lost, which was a good thing because now they have the number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft, which I'm kind of excited for, knowing that this team is cool. The Cardinals are just fucked for like the next 5 years anyway. So what does it matter? But anyways, welcome, Jamsters, to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, the original podcast when it comes to post games for the Phoenix Suns, and part of the Basketball Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review wherever you're consuming this content. If you happen to be watching along live or watching along at a later time on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button while you're here. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Matthew, we got another one.
Good. They're flooding in now, huh?
Yes. All of a sudden, I think they're pity reviews. I honestly, thank you, Jamsters. a lot of pity reviews. Everyone's like, you know what? This has got to be tough for these two Joe Schmoes to go live after every Phoenix Suns loss during this stretch of just complete and utter mediocrity that the Phoenix Suns are living in. Despite their own efforts, they continue to lose. So thank you for those 5-star reviews. We'll read that at the back end of the podcast. But again, if you're watching along live with us, or if you're watching later and you're just hanging out, pop open a nice cold beer. I got the Coors Banquet, brother. I love these things.
Old school, huh?
I love these things.
Those are good. Those are
really
very,
good.
very good, man.
Way better than your typical Coors Light. But drink them if you got them, Suns fans. Lord knows we need it. Nice and subtle, the little bottled beers, and let's get drunk together and talk about the Suns. Suns tonight, 112-98. against the Cleveland Cavaliers at home. Going into this final quarter, the team was only down a point, and then they give up a 32 spot while only scoring 19 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers in that fourth quarter, which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
I got to ask, when you take a look at this team and you see that the starting five is Landry Shamet, Point Shamet, Mikal Bridges, Juice, Dario, and DA. I know that the final score was the Phoenix Suns lost by 14. Did you think that they were even going to be in it this long?
No. When I saw that, I was like, wait. Is there anybody in there I recognize? That's what I was like. Is there anybody? But there was DA, there was Mikal. Juice has been playing really good. So you had those three. I was kind of looking for one guy, and it was Washington Jr. to start.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be an option for the Suns to start because he's been the guy that Monty trusts. So go ahead and start him next to Shamet. Didn't happen. But I'm like, he got a lot of points. He got a lot of minutes tonight. But when I first saw that, man, I was thinking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do in this game? How is it going to be even close? And it was close, but come on. It wasn't. It was close, but the Cavs knew what they were doing. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. They had them where they wanted them. It was just one of those games where one of the players finally got hot for the Suns, and they just shut them down.
I'm not the one who just got butt-fucked on national TV, Dwayne
Washington. It's funny you bring up Dwayne Washington because that's the exact thought that I had. Knowing that Cameron Payne was going to be out because, he sprained his ankle, essentially. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, so Lord knows when we're going to get him back. Knowing that Chris Paul is out, played 12 minutes against the Heat, has a hip issue, which we know in those old folks might take some time. We know Devin Booker is going to be out for quite some time. I, too, thought that this was going to be a start for Dwayne Washington because, let's face it, he has literally been the only bright spot of the Phoenix Suns over the past month, if you will. You take a look at the way that this team has been playing since December 1st, right? Since December 1st, the Phoenix Suns have the worst winning percentage in the NBA. The worst. They've won 25% of their games. They're 5-14. Oh, looks like Charlotte lost. So they're 5. Charlotte's worse than we are. But
yeah.
So this team is, excuse me, this team is 5-14 since December 1st. As I mentioned before, they've lost 6 in a row. They've yet to score over 100 points since this year began. But you take a look at the way that Dwayne Washington Jr. has been playing since the 1st of December, and he's been somebody who's been giving you solid points. He's 10.4 points per game, knowing that he's only playing 14.2 minutes in this month and 8 days. 33% from beyond the arc, but he's somebody who just has the ability to space the floor. And it's something we really don't see happen very well. He can space the floor. He can attack the basket. He's the best pure scorer we have left on this team.
Yeah, and you said attack the basket. That's the one thing he does a lot of the Suns players don't do. Even when we're down by 10 points, he'll take it to the rim. He'll try to get the foul call. It doesn't happen all the time. Rarely ever happens. But he's very physical. And the thing is, he knows no one else can score. He knows that they don't have a true shooter out there. He's the last one there. Maybe Lee, but Dwayne Washington is the last guy out there. You want to trust him and Ayton, but he's the last guy that I feel like he can make and create his own shot. And that sucks. That's just how bad it's been with the injuries. But it's fine. I feel like all the Suns fans trust him. Last game, he was 3 for 18. Tonight, he was 9 for 18. So the shot attempts are awesome. They just went in tonight. And I feel like even if he went 3 for 18 again, I'd be like, damn, that sucks. But I like what he's getting because a lot of his looks look good. I feel like every time he's shooting the three, it's not very selfish. It's he's hitting the pick and roll with DA. He's getting to the rim. He's getting the up and under. So he's doing a lot of things good. He's getting his looks. And that's all you can ask for from him. And you just got to keep riding him. And I kind of wish that he would have started the second half, because the way he ended the first half, he was just on fire. And it was the only reason where we're down by 1. And I was like, okay, here we go. we can ride him into the second half. But no, Monty didn't start him. He just started the same starting lineup we had before, and we got down big again, like 10 points right away.
Well, and DA was out during that time too, which is understandable because that's his natural substitution pattern. But Dwayne Washington tonight was 25 minutes, had 18 shots in those 25 minutes, was 9 of 18 from the field at 25 points. He had 3 assists. He had a rebound, 5 of 6 from beyond the arc. He did have the 4 turnovers, which definitely hurt the team. But there's something interesting that you mentioned, and that was how, he attacks the basket consistently. Did you get that graphic, the final score graphic?
It's there now.
Yeah. Sweet. Where is that? I just want to bring that. You bring that up. Oh, there we go. Boom. I love our badass graphics. But it's one thing that I noticed when I was at the game on Friday, and it's something that I'm talking about pretty extensively on tomorrow morning's Center of the Sun article that I put out every Monday morning on brightsideofthesun.com, where I talk about the week that happened and a preview of the upcoming week. And the one thing that I noticed, and this is where, this kind of ties into the Dwayne Washington conversation. Dwayne Washington is one of the only players on the Phoenix Suns who actually drives to the cylinder consistently and tries to finish at the cylinder. One thing I consistently noticed, again, my wife kept saying that we had courtside seats. We were just in the 200s. She's like, well, they're all by the court. So my
true,
she's not wrong.
Yeah,
but from section 202, up high, I was really seeing a lot of the geometry of the game that the Phoenix Suns played. And one thing that I noticed consistently is this team drives the ball just to kick it. I've never seen more drive and kick. And it was really frustrating to watch in that game against the Heat, and frustrating again to watch it again tonight, that there's a lot of driving and then they're kicking it. But it's like, if they just continue to drive and try to force the issue at the basket, they're going to force themselves into either scoring points or putting the opposition in foul trouble. And over again, it was happening against the Miami Heat. And I actually went back and I looked at the statistics on NBA.com, and they drove the ball 45 times, and they passed out of those 17 times. They only had 6 free throw attempts off of drives the entire game. And you look at it, they drive the ball to the hoop 41.4 times a game. That's 24th in the NBA. They have a 45.3% field goal percentage when they do drive, which is 27th, and they average 22.3 points on drives, which is 27th. And not surprisingly, they attempt 5.4 free throw attempts as a result of their drives. What that's telling you is this is a team that drives and kicks and drives and kicks. And I know it's hard to take a look at some of these statistics right now because, again, we're stuck with a two-way contract player, and he's the guy that we lead off the podcast talking about in Dwayne Washington. But again, it goes back to kind of that coaching aspect and that culture of drive and kick, try to find open. And that's why this team is one of the better three-point shooting teams. They get a lot of wide open threes, but at the same time, you have to have some balance to the force, and the Phoenix Suns just don't have it.
They don't. When you count on the 3, I mean, tonight we kind of got lucky where someone got hot, but most of the time, I feel like the way these games have to go, I think it was 3 games ago when Chris Paul, his last game before he got hurt. Well, he got hurt last game. My bad. Yeah, but he didn't finish the game, obviously. But 3 games ago, it was a tough battle against this Cavs team. And the way that they did it, they slowed it down and they were very physical. So I think that's the only way that the Suns team can win is if they're physical and they try to get to the line. Those shots just have to go through the defender. A lot of them are just always fadeaways. I mean, all of them do it. Mikal does it, and Mikal had a good night tonight, but Mikal does it. Ayton does it. They don't go through anybody. If you're looking at even like Sarge down there, even what he does, he'll just do a little jump hook and just throw it off the rim. So I thought he would maybe try to draw some contact and hit it at the bottom of the rim, but no, he was kind of fading away and just throwing it up there. No look hook shots. He loved those. And I mean, I like the driving kicks. It's fine, but it's just you're counting too much on the 3. And I think when you're not trying to slow the game down and get to the line, it's going to be a very long night. Tonight wasn't very long, but I just think that you got to keep it slow paced, and you have to make sure that a lot of these teams know, we're going to be physical. But that's the thing, though. The Suns have never done that ever in the last 2 years. I feel like they've never been the more physical team. Mm-hmm. So to do it now with a lot of your stars, it's going to be very much almost impossible, I think.
Yeah, and again, driving and kicking is one aspect of basketball, and it opens up those 3-point opportunities. And as you mentioned, kind of live by the three, die by the three. Well, the Phoenix Suns shot 14 of 26 from beyond the arc tonight. They were 53.8%, which is fantastic. And Cleveland was 37.9%. But the challenge that you have is those are harder points. They're worth more. That's why they're, and they're harder. That's why they're worth more. But you look at the points in the paint, and that's where the Phoenix Suns truly struggle. They were outscored 52-38 in points in the paint. And the Phoenix Suns are also a team that, they have what is it? They average 26.1 paint touches per game, which is second best in the NBA. That's touching the paint period, right? So again, that doesn't mean at the rim. But their points per paint touch is 0.884, which is 16th in the league. So it shows you that, again, they drive and kick. They're a jump shooting team. They score a ton of points from between 10 and 15 feet from the cylinder. And if you look at the way that they attack inside at the rim, they're a team that they don't make a bunch of points inside of 5 feet at the rim. They're making 15.4 field goals of 24 attempts, which are both last in the league. So again, I'll say it again. It's hard to sit and try to analyze those exact statistics, knowing what's going on right now. But again, it just shows you that it's philosophical. It's a coaching thing. When we talk about Deandre Ayton, we talk about some of the challenges that he has relative to being an effective player on the interior. That plays a part of it. But it's also like Monty Williams is not saying, hey, guys, like attack. And ultimately, what lost this game for the Phoenix Suns against the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight was simply how they performed in that fourth quarter. They shot 36.8% from the field. They went 7 of 19. Didn't turn the ball over a ton. They turned it over 5 times, which led to 7 points for the Cavs. The Cavs turned it over 4 times, which led to 5 points. But the Cavs just shot 66.7% from the field, which mirrored what they did in the first quarter, where they shot 73.7. So my question for you, Matthew, is when you see those statistics, right? The Phoenix Suns gave up 73.7% in the first quarter. They gave up 66.7 in the fourth quarter. This team is just, given they have a bunch of scrubs out there, essentially, they're just bad at defense now, right? Because look at those numbers.
Yeah, there's another thing, though, too, where you keep seeing game to game where these runs are getting ridiculous. Last game against the Heat, I feel like we talked about Spoelstra calling those timeouts towards the end of the game were really nice. Anytime the Suns got on a 5-0 run,
just boop.
Timeout, killed it. You know what timeouts do? They kill any kind of momentum. They kill any kind of streaks to where your percentage goes any higher. I'm not saying these are games where we're going to win if he calls 1 or 2 timeouts, Monty, if he calls 1 or 2 timeouts in certain situations, but it's kind of crazy when you're up, I think what was it, like 16-10, and then you don't call a timeout till you're down by 10. So like a team goes on like a fucking like almost 17-0 run or something crazy like that, and then you call a timeout. I understand kind of writing it out. If you have Booker and Chris Paul out there and you have your actual offense, that's fine because you've been in these situations. You can kind of dig yourself out of it. But right now, I think with this team, they need anything. And I think a timeout it's bigger than people think. There's just no timeouts. Anytime it's a run and they're down by 10, then the timeout's called. So I think the Suns have to be down by 10 or down by 11 before Monty calls the timeout. They have to come earlier. Like, just use your timeouts. Try something, because what's the point of waiting? Like, this Cavs team or any team we play in the future, they're going to go on these runs where they can't miss. And then we're going to get some nasty layup that's going to miss. We're going to brick a 3 or something, and they're going to keep going back and forth, and they're going to make all their shots. You got to stop it. You got to just stop it with a timeout. And I saw it tonight again. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, we're not going to call a timeout till 2 minutes left in the first quarter after we just blew a big, like we were up. And maybe when the Cavs come back and they tie the game and go up by 2, then call a timeout. Do something like that. Just see how that works. Stop trying to have these guys figure it out, because they can't. They can't do that right now.
No, and they started on a 17-2 run. And I don't think Monty called the timeout he called one when it was a 13-2 run. He should have called it when it was a 6-2 run, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's, again, being at the game on Friday, I noticed the exact same thing. Anytime the Suns were down 11 like the entire game, and every time they shrink it to 4, timeout. And I just feel like it's an old conversation. It's something that we said 3 years ago with Monty Williams. God, I wish he'd use his timeouts a little bit more effectively, because you can't take them with you when you go. And what's the point of holding on to them in this game? You got to stop those.
Yeah.
And it happened in the first quarter. You look at what Bickerstaff did for the Cavaliers. The Phoenix Suns came out and they were looking good. They were playing hot. And then he called a timeout, and then boom, like it was a 14-0 run, just like that, right after a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you not feel that? Again, you need every edge you can utilize with this Phoenix Suns squad, as beat up as it is. Playing the Cavs tight for 6 of the 8 quarters that you've played them thus far this season. And all you're going to play them this season, because you ain't going to see them in the finals because you ain't making it. But you just
you have to. And I don't know, the timeouts are they're kind of, what is it, 5 timeouts or something per half or something crazy like that. Not very many, but you just got to use them sooner. That's the only thing, is try it 2 minutes sooner. Don't let it be a 20-3 run for the Cavs. Like, cut it in half, dude. Like, you can't have this keep happening every game, because I'm looking at a lot of these non-timeout calls. I'm looking at a lot of the things like where Monty's talking about how after the game 2 games ago, when DA only had like 11 shot attempts, like, oh, we should have given him the ball more. We should have given him more attempts. And he's scratching his head, like just trying to figure it out. It's like, yeah, like, do you not have those adjustments? Am I just blaming Ayton for something he can't control? You know what I mean? So I start to think like maybe this is a Monty problem. I don't mind Monty. I like Monty. I like what James Jones does, but just coaching, when it comes down to just your team missing players, I kind of want to, I'm not saying we're going to win these fucking games. I'm just saying I want to see things where I'm like, oh, great call, Monty. Oh,
yes,
he's really forcing Dwayne Washington to feed Ayton more, even though I like Dwayne Washington and what he's doing, but have him feed Ayton no matter what. Turnover, who cares? Blame it on Ayton. He's not getting good positioning, but I just want some kind of focus somewhere to help this team actually keep it close towards the end of the game. And they have, in the last few games, it's been kind of closer towards the end. The Miami Heat game was a little closer and stuff, but this game is a blowout just because I feel like nothing's really going right. And of course, Ayton gets hurt towards the end of the fourth or whatever, so that sucks.
Did he?
So yeah, I guess he hurt his ankle, rolled it again. So
yay.
I know I turned it off with like 3 minutes left, and I came to get ready or whatever. So I think I missed that part.
Great, just what we need.
Watch.
So you take a look in this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ayton watch, DA was on triple-double watch tonight for the first time in his career. 6 of 16 from the field, which I'm sure we'll talk about that. 14 points, 11 boards, had 6 assists in this game, also had a block. He ended with a -5, which he was a +15 in the fourth quarter because at least for the front end of the fourth quarter, because they couldn't stop the Cavaliers without DeAndre Ayton out there on the court in that fourth quarter. Tell me what you saw from DA tonight.
Well, it comes after the article with Dwayne Rankin. I don't know if you read it. I kind of skimmed through it, and they did talk about how he wants the ball more. And Dwayne brought up, hey, so when you get the ball, you seem kind of rushed. And Ayton does comment, say like, yeah, I'm just like, when I finally get it, like I want to make something happen quick. The thing is, like, watching Ayton, to me, he still doesn't understand what to do with the ball still, a lot of the times when he does get it. So it's very frustrating on that part. And then when he does start to get it rolling, then they kind of go away from him. The positioning is still bad by him. Players are still missing him. So it's the same bullshit that we talk about all the time. But the thing is that with him, I just think that he has still a lot of learning to do, a lot more work to do to where you can count on him to be consistent. So I think this season is basically just him doing the same thing over and over again with the reps and working on moves to get to the rim. I don't think you're going to be able to count on him to win you games at all, as we saw.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's all his fault or anything like that, but it's very hard to watch. It's very brutal to watch Ayton and just see that he still looks like a rookie. He looks like a rookie a lot of the times, where he's still trying to figure shit out and what move should he go to? I brought up with Suns Geek and probably you 2 weeks ago or 2 pods ago, where he spins into the defense just because the coach probably told him like, hey, do a spin move right here.
Get the ball and spin. And
it's so weird.
Right into somebody.
So I'm not enjoying this at all. And I hope he's not hurt, but I'm not going to say it's going to make a difference. If he's out the next few games, I don't think we win a game because of him, because he started off this game really good. He looked really good, but he gets tired and then the defense can kind of take him away. You know what I mean? But then it just goes away, kind of like Mikal has been doing. And Mikal had a good game tonight, but I just don't trust him anymore, dude. I'm honestly just fucking sick of him. I really am, to be honest. I'm sorry. I'm just sick of him right now.
All right. So this is going to be a good conversation. So when it comes to DA, again, he was taking the shots in this game, but he was having a hard time making them because of his positioning. And that's the first thing that I had in my notes. And it was there was a couple different reasons why, in my opinion. One, you're right. He's not great at pin downs. Like when he gets a good pin down, you're like, oh shit, DA got a pin down. And then he gets the ball and he fumbles it away. The other thing is, again, with all of these scrubs, essentially, with Landry Shamet playing point Shamet, with Mikal Bridges being your 2 guard, with a lot of Dwayne Washington Jr., a lot of the passes are just, they take him out of those deep positions that he gets. So he'll be 7 feet from the basket and they'll pass it to where he's got to reach out. And now all of a sudden he's 15 feet. And then he doesn't know, to your point, doesn't know how to operate within the confines of exactly, what that offensive set's going to be. 8th most double-doubles in Suns history after tonight. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
But you take a look since January 1st, his touches per game, he gets 51.6 touches per game, which is the most that isn't, Chris Paul or I'm sorry, I went from, let me go to January 1st, considering Devin Booker's not there. All right. So since Devin Booker's been gone, DeAndre Ayton leads the team in touches, 61.7 touches per game, not including tonight. 61.7. His points per touch is 0.06, essentially. It's not good. It's not good considering how many touches he gets a game. But again, to your point, like he doesn't know what to do with it. And they got me thinking this, you just said it. Said I'm tired of watching DA right now. January 15th, we got 1 week until January 15th, right? That's when he becomes available for trade. Now, granted, he has veto power over that trade. But think about that. Think about DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder. Okay, think about what that looks like in a trade. Think about what value that could bring back. Because again, a lot of people are dogging James Jones. Hasn't done anything. No triggers have been pulled. Could he just simply be waiting for January 15th? Could he sit there and go, you know what? I waited till the 11th hour. I waited till DeAndre Ayton got an offer from the Indiana Pacers. I matched it instantly, knowing that I'm going to just use that contract in an effort to get rid of this guy rather than just lose him for nothing, right? It's got to be a possibility, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Jamsters. And as much as I love watching him, when he dominates, when he really does. And that's the only thing I get excited about when I watch Suns basketball, when they're so good. I remember that one time.
I remember that one time he dominated. That was cool.
Yeah. I'm not ragging on him. And it's not even hate either. And I hate when people say it's hate. It's reactions to the game. And I get frustrated because he does say I want the ball, but then when he gets the ball, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And yes, I do watch him too much. I think Coda Kid said that. I do watch him all the time.
Of course.
It's Ayton watch. I can't stop watching this dude. So, I mean, he loves his teammates to succeed and stuff. And then the thing is, he's just so flippy floppy. I don't know what DA we're going to get. I don't know what kind of attitude we're going to get. It's from 1 minute to another. It changes. So I do think whenever I do look at those players sitting there, even Devin Booker, I think even Chris Paul, I think they're upset with the way DA has been. And I think that they're just waiting for him to get out of town. That's how I truly feel. And as much as I want him to stay here and be a Phoenix Sun for forever for Devin Booker, it's been 5 years.
He's not that guy.
He's just not that guy for Devin Booker. And if you're to say Chris Paul's going to leave and we have to rely on Ayton and Booker to get together, it's okay, give us 5 more years and maybe we'll figure it out. It's we don't have time. We don't have time. These fans want a championship now. Booker's going to his prime. There's other guys out there you can throw with Booker. And if DA steps up and he's just that guy, and I know he's in a new role, that's fine. But this is what you work. This is what you work your whole first 4.5 years for, is when Booker's out, you can be the main guy, because you shouldn't have a problem. You shouldn't have an issue with anything you're doing offensively. You shouldn't look so insecure with the ball. He does. So I'm just done, dude. And I have been.
Well, and it's not just that. Again, the other side of this coin is the constant. It's the talk rather than walk the walk with DA, right?
Always, yes,
always.
That's the one thing that's
the Dwayne Rankin article.
Yeah, Yes, exactly.
I
man.
want the ball. I want to be dominant. Then he gets the ball. He spins into a double team. He drops the ball, and again, like, I want DA to be so successful because I think that having somebody like him, because on the defensive end, he highly impacts the game, but I feel like you can get somebody who impacts the game, not at the same level, but comparatively for much, much cheaper. And you're not zeroed in all the time. Like if you had a Jared Allen type, right? If you had a Jared Allen type, anything offensively he gave you, you'd be like, yes, you want to be like, we need Jared Allen to score 20 points and to get 10 rebounds. You're not going to be banging that gavel because he isn't the number one overall pick, the only number one overall pick in the history of the franchise. He's not a guy who, if you watched for 5 years and you're waiting for him to start to enter his prime and it just doesn't seem like there's any progression. I mean, Bill Simmons was saying it the other day when he was talking about Phoenix. He's just like,
no value. He has no trade value. That's our number one pick right now. 5 years from being the number one pick. He has no trade value. And I told you about the redraft. This podcaster
He's sixth.
Guys did. He was sixth, fifth, and Mikal was fifth. He's behind Mikal. Like, just face it. Like, Ayton, yeah, he's good. But we need him to be fucking great. We need him to be an all-star every fucking season, but he's not that.
Gary Pickney in the chat, thanks for watching. He says, I can't with y'all. We trade DA, and who do we get? Who are we left with? Well, if you trade DA, it's a $30 million asset. You probably get something, maybe a secondary scorer to Devin Booker when he comes back because DA just ain't consistently it. You might get a quality wing player. You might have the ability to, get the point guard of the future. I don't know. But you give yourself more options because, again, I don't think that DA, you have to try to maximize his what he is. And it ain't like right now should be the time that he's shining. And again, like he's doing 13-foot fadeaways. He's doing hook shots from 8 feet out. He doesn't attack the rim. And again, do we watch him too much? Yeah, it's Ayton watch. That's what we do. But
yeah, the free throw attempts too, like that's just hard when it's your big. And he doesn't get a lot of calls sometimes, some games, but he needs to keep on the rest. The last game against Miami, he started the first quarter where he was like kind of yelling at the refs, but he doesn't talk to him. He doesn't do anything to actually let them know, like, hey, this is what that guy's doing. Like, let me get that call. You know what I mean? Like a lot of players will do that. They'll talk to the refs and stuff. And yeah, I do watch him too much. I'm sorry, because I want him to be great, dude. I don't want him to leave Phoenix at all. But I need this team. I want this team to win a championship, and we just can't do it if he's the number 2 or number 1.
Yeah, he'd be a great number 3 or number 4 if you paid him as such. If you paid him what you're paying Mikal Bridges, I feel like we'd be a lot less keyed into it. And we've been keyed into it for the first 4 years because we knew the max contract was coming. Then obviously everything that happened last year, didn't get the max contracts. Like, okay, go prove it. Didn't prove it, still got it. And now here we are on the other side of that, and you're handcuffed with a $30 million max center who doesn't play like a max center. He just doesn't consistently. Every now and then he'll have, and again, it's like, I don't care about the stats, man. You could sit here. I notice how I haven't sat here and pulled up any of his statistics because I'm going off of what I see when it comes to Deandre Ayton. So again, we'll continue to see over the next few games, which are tough games, if Deandre Ayton can be that guy, but he's just too passive, and that's okay. But it's not okay when he's supposed to be the guy who's carrying your team right now, and he literally isn't. So more to talk about, but you know what? We need to smile. So let's watch this promo from DraftKings.
Listen up, Jamsters. I know this is a basketball podcast, but the NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for wild card round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wild card round this upcoming weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action is so good, why not bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN.
Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Go.
Oh
New
my
DraftKings
God,
promo.
thank you. It's been a while since I've seen that, man. That's good. That is so good. When did we shoot that? Like, it was 11 years ago?
6 years ago. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast, obviously you heard the new voiceover. New video goes with that. Matthew and I actually a long, long time ago created some fantasy football video for our fantasy football league.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know what the hell we did it for. And it's just gold. It's gold. It's Matthew running around a park training for his fantasy football draft. Do you remember who the player was when you threw the ball and you hit the computer?
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You're like, Alshon Jeffrey,
Yeah.
first pick.
Yeah, that's a great video, dude. That's one of the best ever. Someone actually commented, like, how does this not blow up? Like, I don't know how that's not everywhere. I don't want to be a movie star, but like, that's fucking good. And you know what I mean? Like, what you did to put it together, dude, it was hilarious. It gets me every time.
It was pretty funny. So for those of you watching, I hope you enjoyed that. Next up on the Suns Jam Session podcast.
Today I met this cat. He said his name was Damion. He thinks that we're a lot alike and wants to be my friend.
This is John Voida paging Damion Lee. Has anyone seen Damion Lee? 26 points tonight, 1 of 4 from the field. That's 7. Yeah. His only 3-pointer came in garbage time, which was late in the fourth quarter. Had 3 rebounds. And prior to this game, Damion Lee, 6.2 points per game during the losing streak, 4.6 field goal attempts. What's happened to Damion Lee? Right now is when I feel like Damion Lee should be shining. And like him and Josh Okogie just like aren't anywhere to be seen. Both, so it's not just Damion, it's him and Josh Okogie. Like WT to the F, where's he gone?
No, I don't know. And he was trying to work on some moves getting to the rim. Wasn't really working out. So I know we talked about, hey, you gotta get the rim and draw some contact, but he has a hard time doing that. So he needs to just jack the threes up, man. Find some spacing, find the floor, to where he's open for it from the passing lane, even when DA has the ball. Just jack with those threes, man, because I feel like Shamit's shooting a lot of threes. He's just jacking them up.
Yeah.
He is. And, like, I don't mind them. I think they're good-looking shots. And Shamit was 3 for 7, but Damion Lee's 1 for 2. Like, I want to see at least 5 to 7 threes per night from him. Like, at least. And I don't mind it. It's just like Dwayne Washington. Like, if he's missing, it's fine. They're good looks. But we know Lee can get hot, too. And I was thinking the same thing tonight. I'm like, I feel like Washington's kind of overshadowed him. But Lee can be that second guy. Because I'm like, who else is a shooter out there? Oh, Lee is, but he hasn't stepped up at all. And it's difficult. It's a different situation, obviously. But is it that difficult when you're just launching threes? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is, man. Maybe I'm just really critical tonight. Who knows?
I'm critical for the past, month and a half. Low Sunsets in the chat. They're playing him tighter because they've adjusted to him, which makes sense. He's created a reputation for himself. But at the same time, with all the drive and kick talk that I was talking about earlier, like a lot of members of the Suns are finding themselves open for 3, and Damion Lee just isn't. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's hurt. I feel like everyone on the team's hurt right now. Like literally everybody.
Yeah. Bridges is hurt.
Bridges is definitely hurt.
I'm sure Ayton's been playing I'm sure his ankle's been bothering him too. So I feel like I do feel bad for everything I said, of course, because I have a lot of heart for the guy. I feel bad for him always instantly after I say anything bad, but I feel like a lot of these guys are hurt. You're right.
And Freddie Miramone on Facebook says Damion Lee is out of his element. He's only good with Book out there getting the defensive attention, which could be true as well. So again, this is somebody who you brought in. I think that we were quickly becoming a fan favorite was Damion Lee, and he's disappearing more than Mikal Bridges is at times. Speaking of Mikal Bridges and the way that he's been playing. Much more solid effort from Mikal Bridges. 38 minutes played, 7 of 10 from the field, including 1 of 1 from beyond the arc, 15 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. But I'll say this, Matthew, not enough. Not enough for Mikal Bridges. 15 points. When you have Chris Paul out, when you have Devin Booker out, okay, those 2 guys alone account for, Devin Booker's 28.2, Chris Paul is 15.1. You need more from Mikal Bridges. And again, we just kind of consistently don't see him. I can't iterate it enough. These are the times when he should be really balling out, right? Mikal Bridges has 1 20-point game, in the past 9 games for the Suns. 1 20-point game. Coming into this game, he's averaging 12.3 points in the Suns' last 9 games. 35.7% from the field. 34% from beyond the arc. I get that he has to guard the opposing best player, but offensively, it shows you that in the absence of Chris Paul, in the absence of Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges just aren't it. The Suns need a true secondary scorer. You look at all the great teams in the West or just in the league right now. They have a 1-2 punch truly offensively. The Phoenix Suns don't have it.
No, Mikal does have a thing where he has a little pick and roll with Ayton and he has a nice little jump shot. That was solid. He has that. He has the mid-range jumper. He just shies away. That's the thing is like these guys should be playing like Washington out there where they just don't give a fuck. They're out there getting to their spots, jacking them up, but also just playing smart basketball. And I feel like Washington's been doing that. Ayton and Mikal need to be those guys where it's like, we're going to play our game and then just the outcome's the outcome. But at least as Suns fans, we can see like we can count on them. Like they're guys that might put 30 points to win us a game or keep it close. And it's like, oh, dude, that guy, he put it out on the floor tonight. You know what I mean? But no, it's like you see spurts. You see a lot of spurts, but it's never continuous. I thought Mikal did better tonight. Last night, he got to the free throw line a lot. I think he had 10 attempts. So he's been more aggressive, but
yeah,
I honestly just really think he's hurt.
I do too.
And it sucks, but it's like, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what we need something from somebody. He's been trying, but
Dwayne Washington
he's
Jr. is carrying the team.
That's the only guy the last 2 games, he's the only guy that I'm watching. I'm like, dude, I want this guy with the ball. I don't care what happens. I just want him with the ball because he's the only one that like seems like he knows what he's doing out there.
Well, Albert H in the chat says it's because we built the offense to go through Book and DA for 2 years. And Coda Kid says they've never been asked to carry this team before. And I understand that, but here's a great example. And I was thinking about this one, Coda Kid. I'm glad you bring it up. Jeremy Grant, right? Jeremy Grant left Denver where he was a role player. He was kind of like a Mikal Bridges. He was a 3-and-D guy. Went to Detroit. He saw his opportunity increasing. He took advantage of it. This is what should be happening with Bridges and Ayton right now. Their shot attempts should be going up. Their points per game should be going up. But because they are not true, consistent offensive players, because they're not as good as Jeremy Grant, they're not going up. They're, in fact, going down. Mikal Bridges' points per game is going down. When we need him to step up, he's shrinking. Again, last 9 games, 12-something points per game. Unacceptable. So when, Coda Kid's right. They've never been asked to carry this team before. But now they are being asked to carry this team, and they're not. They're reminding us that they're not a Jeremy Grant type. They're not an offensive threat. They're not someone who can carry the team for 5 games. That's all we need. Like somebody carry the team for 5 games. It's Dwayne Washington Jr. It's the guy in your 2-way. It's not the guy you're paying $30 million or the guy you're paying $24 million. It's the guy who's getting a 1.8. He's not even getting $1.8 million. He's on a 2-way contract. That's the guy who's carrying the team offensively right now. Unacceptable. Just unacceptable.
Yeah, and I think we were spoiled the last 2 years, but I feel like we do kind of just we're okay with things from players. Like we're okay. It's like, oh, it's a different role. Give them some time. But that's the thing is we don't have time. Like we got to find out who these guys are because they've been in the trade conversations the last 2 years. Ayton has been for sure. Mikal now is from Suns fans. So we got to see that these guys can and will make sense on this team. If they're playing basketball at this kind of chaos rate, like it's just weird watching him. Like I feel like a lot of times even Mikal he'll like turn the ball over in the most weird plays. Like even the one where he hit Washington Jr. in the corner for that ridiculous 3, he went up and under. And I don't even know if he knew Washington would be there, but that would have been just a turnover right there. Like he's kind of chaotic with the ball. So a lot of it's just chaos out there, man. So that's why it does come down.
That's what it is.
It comes down to Monty too, where he has to put these guys in situations to win. It just looks ridiculously hard for anybody to get a good shot out there right now.
And Los Suns in the chat, he says, also, Voida, it's only been this season. Grant had a couple of years to develop. You can't compare. I can absolutely compare. You look at Jeremy Grant in Denver when he in 2019 and 20. Okay, that's the year that they went to the Western Conference Finals. He averaged 12 points per game on 26 minutes and 8.9 shot attempts. Okay, the next year he goes to Detroit. His shot attempts go from 8.9 to 17.3. He goes from 12 points a game to 22.3. He was given opportunity the next year from a small forward position. That's what should be happening right now with Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges, let me pull up some statistics real quick on our buddy Mikal. I had them up and then I went away from him. He's 10.5 point or shot attempts last season. He's up to 12.5 right now, and he's only averaging a point more per game. But again, since Devin Booker's been out, and that's since Christmas, okay, he's averaging just 11.4 field goal attempts. He's not shooting the ball more. He should be shooting the ball more, and he's not. That's the difference. Jeremy Grant's somebody who it's like, okay, listen, you are going to be the guy now. And right now it's like between DA and between Mikal Bridges, there's no Devin Booker, there's no Chris Paul consistently. It's like you guys, you're paid the third and fourth most on the team behind Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Here you go. Take over. And there's like, I'll take less shot attempts.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it.
No, you can't. And there's another guy too that hasn't been in the situation at all. And it's Washington Jr. But he doesn't give a fuck. He's out there trying to do his best and play a game that makes sense. It's I don't know why we have to say like, oh, these guys haven't been here. They haven't done, but like Mikal was going to be defensive player of the year last year, right? Mm-hmm. We want Ayton to be an all-star. We want even Mikal to be an all-star. Why can't we just have them step up to where when guys come back, we'll be like, oh man, what's going to happen when Booker comes back and then Cameron Johnson comes back? Like, are they going to be able to share the ball? Because Mikal and Ayton have been unstoppable. It's nothing to worry about now. It's like, well, I don't even know if we have a real team if Booker comes back.
I know. Well, again, when Booker comes back, and Shot Chucker in the chat's right. This is, our offense is still guard-centric. So, why did Chris Paul get hurt again? Well, because he came back. He played against the Cavaliers. He played 40 minutes in a night trying to get that team to win. We lost by 2 points. And then after 12 minutes against the Heat, he's hurt again. Devin Booker, when he comes back, same thing with Devin Booker. He came back, scored 58 points because he had to carry the fucking team. Then he's been out. And then when both come back, we're just going to throw, Monty's going to be like, all right, guys. It's like going on vacation. You come back like no one was there, and you have to do so much work just to catch up. Like, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like, instead of utilizing this opportunity to see these guys have more shot attempts, I will say this, like DeAndre Ayton had 16 shot attempts in this game. That's the way it should be. Mikal Bridges only had 10. Both of those numbers should be inflated. Dwayne Washington Jr. led the team with 18 shot attempts.
Yeah, Ayton needs at least 25.
He needs 20 to 25. Yeah. I talked about it earlier. I think there's like 2 games this year where he's had over 20 shot attempts. It's unacceptable right now. I don't care if we're losing because of how injured we are, but it's the way we're losing that I find myself getting frustrated. DA's not getting enough shot attempts. Mikal Bridges is shying away from the moment. Dwayne Washington Jr., again, is who we lead the podcast off with. That right there tells you something's wrong. That right there.
Yeah.
Period. Exclamation point. Subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit stakeout.
So twice in 1 week, I got the subreddit for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So let's see what they had to say. First one, I hate Mikal Bridges so much. Why do people say that? Who hates Mikal Bridges other
How
than
could
us?
you hate him, man? Is that all they said is I hate him?
Stuff.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, fans do freak out about that. Like, why is he celebrating down 20?
Did you see Kyle Lowry before the Heat game?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready to do the tip-off, and he looks at Mikal Bridges. He's like,
"Oh, really?"
Fun of him right off the bat. Yeah, fucking Kyle Lowry.
All the players do that. So, all of our players.
Somebody said Warriors fan here, and I know you have a history of not liking us, but please beat the Suns. And then somebody responded, and they said the Suns are annoying because they act like they're the Warriors when they have none of the achievements. Okay. Then there was some Mobley hate. Plenty of Evan Mobley hate. Mobley is regressing before our eyes, to which somebody commented, hasn't been looking great, not sure what's wrong with him, but he got stuffed and then bricked a hook shot right after. And then somebody said, Moby getting worked by this jock dude I've never heard of tonight. Now, this is funny because, one, Evan Mobley, 7 of 10 from the field, was 14 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And less than a week ago, he had a game winner against the Phoenix Suns. And they're just dogging him in the chat. I might be in the minority here, but I can't stand the City Edition jerseys. Every year, only like 3 or 4 are nice, and the rest are hideous and or tacky. Clearly a cash grab for jersey sales. Wouldn't mind if they did them every other year or a few years, but every year is dumb. And then somebody said, my favorite part is the overcomplicated explanations each team writes about their City Edition jerseys, which is funny because it's true. Somebody said the Suns gorilla used to give me nightmares when I was like 5. I've never seen a gorilla in the desert either. And then during that 17-2 run, everyone just kept saying Cavalanche.
What is it?
Cavalanche instead of
Cavalanche. Yeah,
like
okay.
Cavalanche.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that was pretty cool. That was the Subreddit Stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
All right, Matthew.
Yeah.
You know, I got a new segment for the show. Considering the Suns, you take a look at the standings after this game. 20-21 are where the Suns stand. And that puts them in the tied for 8th, but they're also tied for 9th, and they're also tied for 10th in the Western Conference. The only reason that they have they're given the 8th seed is it must be conference or division standing. They have a better division and conference standing than both the Minnesota and Timberwolves and the Portland Trailblazers, who are 9-10. They are a half game ahead of the Lakers, who are currently in the 11th spot. So this means that we're going to have to start looking at Tankathon once again.
Okay.
Spin the Tankathon wheel.
All right. So this is where we take a look at Tankathon. It's something we haven't had to do in quite some time. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Tankathon, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to spin that Tankathon wheel, Matthew.
All right, this is awesome.
So here's Tankathon. Yeah. It's something we haven't done in a long time. So for
big
those
money.
Big money. So currently, according to Tankathon, they have the Suns in the 15th overall spot. So if we hit Sim Lottery, we're going to do it and see what happens. And the Suns are in the 15th overall spot still, and they have the Suns drafting a shooting guard from Michigan, Jet Howard. He's 6'8" shooting guard.
Oh,
Good
nice.
Lord. He's a freshman.
That's awesome.
And if you take a look at Jet Howard, his strengths are assist to turnover ratio. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's got length, so he's got some blocks. His 2-point percentage, his draft age. Let's see what else about him. His weaknesses, his steals, his offensive rebounds, and his rebounds. So he just doesn't rebound. So this is a guy who's purely offensive, can't play any defense. Jeff Howard, our first guy we're going to start to take a look at as we get ready to make a run at Tankathon once again.
Yeah, Jeff Howard, come on down.
You're next on the Suns Tankathon. So when's the last time you spent some time on Tankathon, Matthew?
Oh, it's been 2 years at least.
God, remember that?
Yeah. My friend
my
friend OKC fan. He always had it up though when I worked with him. So I never looked at it, but he's like, "Oh, this is where OKC is gonna pick." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, it's nice when we don't have to scout guys like we have, especially last year. Like we didn't have a pick. It's like sweet, we don't have to scout anybody because we spent a lot of time scouting and being wrong. Although you and I loved Halliburton, we loved Devin Vassell. We were right on both of them. Coda Kid says we need a Jet Howard watch now. So Jet Howard is the first person.
That's a good name too. Actually, I didn't like Halliburton at all, so I'll take that. Take that L.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't like him.
Oh man,
I liked a lot of people in that draft. I didn't like him. Maybe I didn't spend enough time on him. I just didn't like him.
I was the one who must have really liked him. So, But there you go, Tankathon. If the Suns continue to lose, we're going to continue. If we're right here, if we're right in this area where we have a shot at a lottery pick, we're going to have to take a look at this. And which brings up my next question, Matthew. As the Phoenix Suns continue to plummet in the standings, which hopefully isn't going to happen much longer, but you never know. Is that just another chip for James Jones to potentially utilize? Because the value of that number one overall pick has value. It's not like it's the 20th overall pick. If we drop and, we end up being like the 13th or 12th worst team in the NBA, that first round pick potentially with the Jay Crowder could be something, right?
Yeah, but that would kind of suck if we do give it up, and it'd probably be top 5 protected or something like that. But if we get like a 6th pick, but then we get somebody else that doesn't help us do anything, I don't know. I would hope we could just give up Jay Crowder without the pick for somebody, but I feel like you have to throw in a pick with Jay Crowder now. So if you're giving up that number one pick, it has to be for someone like that Pascal Siakam trade or something like that. Someone that's gonna automatically make a change this season. If it's anything else, I think
Yes.
it's a lose-lose.
Well, and that's one thing, again, I talked a little bit before I accidentally ended the podcast early last time with you and Suns Geek. I put out a piece on Bright Side of the Sun talking about how, James Jones might just stand fast. He might just sit there. Obviously, a Jay Crowder trade will occur because it's a distressed asset, but you have about $30 million coming off the books next offseason, and he might not sit there and try to trade. Well, two things. He might not try to trade some of his expirings because the Phoenix Suns have a lot of expirings. You got Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, Dwayne Washington. Well, he's a two-way. Josh Okogie, Damion Lee, Torrey Craig. There's a lot of expiring contracts. And I could see where James Jones is like, you know what? I'm just going to let this ride. And if we do good, great. But if not, like, I can make a run at some free agents next year. And there's some pretty decent free agents next year. So he might do that. The other side of this is, let's say that the Suns continue to just plummet. The injuries take too long to come back. And let's say the Phoenix Suns end with the 11th worst record. The 11th worst record, you have a 1.8% chance at Wemby. I don't think you trade, even if it's 1.8%, a shot at Wemby. You have an 8.5% chance at getting a top 4 pick. So that puts you in like the Scoot Henderson conversation. But I think that if the Suns continue to fail, that first round pick does increase value, but I don't feel like you can trade it, because imagine trading your number 1 pick in Jay Crowder. You end up with still the 10th worst record, and you have a 3% chance of getting Wemby, and it hits. Like, how Phoenix Suns would that be?
It would be Phoenix Suns.
It'd
be more Phoenix Suns than like a Detroit Lions thing. You know what I mean? That would happen. And I think they go by who hasn't had a star yet. But the thing is, if we end up trading DA for somebody or something, and then we just kind of do tank, then yeah, Wemby, it's an option. I mean, that would be fucking crazy, but it'd be crazy to get Wemby, because I would just want to know the thoughts of Devin Booker and how he would think, like, oh shit, like, here we go again. Like, would he just ask out of Phoenix if we're going to be tanking again? Like, that would be traumatic for him, I feel like.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, if you get Wemby, dude, you ain't tanking. You're all that guy's an instant. He is a number 1 overall pick. He's not like DA, who's like should have been number 3. It was just purely drafted because the owner was a U of A fan, and that you want to sell tickets to all your U of A season ticket holders. I mean, so we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. What else you got, Matthew? Anything else that I missed?
No, I didn't do too many notes tonight, honestly. So
let's see. Oh, I got this one. Report: Cleveland, Phoenix, and Toronto have been circulating as teams that have trade interest in Kelly Oubre Jr. Would you want the Suns to? Yeah, before he got hurt. Would you want the Suns to bring back Kelly Oubre Jr.?
No. But yes, kind of. No, I don't want him at all.
We need a wing scorer. He's a wing scorer.
I know. It's kind of one of those weird things where I wouldn't want him back because of how selfish of a player he was. But right now, it's kind of, you just need guys to go in there and try to hit some big shots. And he was Mr. Big Shot with the Suns.
He was Mr. Big Shot.
So it'd be nice to have him back for this stretch. If it's anything of a championship run, maybe if he's in the bench deep 3 or 4 spots, I'm okay with that. But right now, we need someone for sure that can come in there and start and just get a shot off. But now he's hurt, so it's crazy. If he was to come back, I think it would be pretty exciting. It's funny, right after we get rid of the Valley jerseys, though. So he would never have a chance. Yeah. Poor guy.
My last question. Should the Suns pursue Carmelo Anthony?
Yes, I've always wanted Carmelo.
Yeah, tonight's the first night when I started going, you know what, we're missing somebody like Melo. Somebody who could just go out there and score some points, because, again, DA and Bridges ain't it right now.
Yeah, we need somebody that's just like a leader too. I'm not saying Melo's the best leader, but he'd be good for the locker room. He really would be, especially when they keep losing games. Everyone's gonna get down on themselves, and there's gonna be a lot of blame pointed around. I'm sure Carmelo knows a lot about that, so he would be a good guy in there in the locker room. You got to get somebody, and I wanted him at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I've kind of, I wasn't a big fan of Melo at the beginning of the season. I thought, too old, too me-centric. But again, given the state of the Phoenix Suns and the injuries that they've had to this point, they need somebody like that.
Oh, yeah,
so,
for sure.
So we'll see what happens. The next, Phoenix now goes on a 4-game road trip. They play at Golden State. The next night they play at the Denver Nuggets. They pop up to Minnesota, and then they have MLK Day in Memphis. So another tough road trip lies ahead of the Phoenix Suns. What do you think the Suns go on that road trip, Matthew?
I'm going to say 0-3.
I said 4 teams.
They're just going to forfeit the last one. No,
yeah,
I think the Suns, they can get 1 out of 4. Dude,
you think
Minnesota? 4 in
Minnesota?
a row. I think it's going to be an upset to one of the better teams, but Minnesota should be one you can take. That team they're playing better right now. They are. But I just feel like do I even bring it up with DA trying to just, be himself against Gobert and just kind of dominate him? But I don't think that's going to happen either. Who knows? You got to win 1 out of the next 4. I'm just hoping for 1, dude.
Yeah, but when it comes to him playing against Rudy Gobert, I think that, whenever we play Minnesota, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself considering the fact that game's not till next Friday, but whenever we play against Minnesota, obviously the first thing that comes up and everybody starts talking about is Karl Anthony Towns. He's obviously injured, but when you have us play against Minnesota and there's no Towns, and you take a look at kind of the statistics historically between Rudy Gobert and DeAndre Ayton, Rudy Gobert scores 17.3 points, has 12.9 rebounds and 1.7 blocks against Ayton. Ayton is 13-8, conversely. So he struggled against Gobert. He'll struggle when he plays against Gobert. That's all we're going to be talking about next Friday is, Karl Anthony Towns, should we trade for him? Yada, yada, yada. The 4-game road trip without the health, I really have a hard time seeing this team winning a game. I
know. Just a little bit of hope over here. A little bit, but.
Well, we'll see. The Warriors are up next. We play them Tuesday night, 8 p.m. I'm covering that one for Brightside. The Warriors are 6-5 with Steph Curry out. Klay Thompson's averaging 26 points per game. He had that 54-point per game performance, or that 54-point game against the Atlanta Hawks not too long ago. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out, knowing that the next night they turn right around and have to play Denver. It's a brutal stretch.
It's gonna be rough.
We said it when Booker went down on Christmas, like, get ready, because this next January is just a tough fucking month for the Suns, and they're proven to have some semblance of a competitive team, but a team that just can't close anybody out. So
yeah, it'll be nice to get this month over with. Whatever our record is, I don't care if we're 8 or 9 games below 500. I don't care. Just get this month over with. Get these guys back and see what happens.
Get me to February. Get me to the trade deadline. So, again, thank you everybody who decided to pop in and watch the podcast. If you're listening and you're on Apple Podcasts, be like Jordan J. Jordan J left a 5-star review. He says, the best post-game podcast. I feel like you guys feel exactly how I do after each win and after each loss. In all seriousness, you guys have really good discussions on this team and bring up a lot of insightful info. It's almost given that I'm always listening or watching on YouTube to the pod after MVP or after every game. Y'all the MVP. So thank you, Jordan J, for that. Thank you. We really appreciate it. It's tough to sit around and talk about trading Ayton and then Bridges ain't stepping up. It's like I missed last year, man.
Yeah, I have a fucking headache after this one.
Well, that and what's the score of that Packers game?
Oh, yeah, dude. I think Aaron Rodgers just threw a pick with like 3 minutes left. They're down by 4. Packers are down 20-16. So it's fine. I honestly, tell you the truth, I kind of want the Packers to lose, but I also want it $600. So
I know that's the key. It was the $600.
Yeah.
So. All right, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe, rate, and review, all that fun stuff. Follow me at Darth Void and read my writing at Bright Side of the Sun. Follow the show at Suns Jam. Follow Matthew. And I think that I'm going to end this podcast correctly this time. So, Matthew, tell them what to do.
Go home, love your family.